Be'ezrat Hashem, Naaseh v'Natzliach. I want to welcome you to our Hallandale Beacon Tower Lunch and Learn as we continue our weekly learning of PARASHAT Shavua. Before we get started, I'd like to give an honorable mention to our gracious host, and Be'emet, I really do mean it, our gracious host, Judah Mendel from Mendel Law, that takes time and effort to come and drive and shop and bring and promote. You're the pillar of this class. I appreciate you, and all the people that are in this room appreciate you, and all the people that are online appreciate you. People don't have no idea how much of Judah's involvement creates this Torah spreading around the world and locally. Hashem in the near future. Also like to give an honorable mention to the Dornbush family, for H&M Builders for allowing us the use of the space, and for and they also have continued success, health, wealth, and all that they do. And of course, to the people in the room, for all of you that don't know, we're going through a cold front in Miami. It's 40 degrees.
It's raining outside.
It's raining outside. You know what it means to take a Floridian?
Yes, it was 32.
On a day that it's 40 degrees and raining. So Hashem, we say that you're here, you're learning. You know, the Fum Tzara, guys, they say the bigger the challenge, the larger the reward. Also like to dedicate this lesson to the Ilui Nishmat of David ben Zohara, Yaniv ben Rina, Shmuel ben Amuma, Avraham Halevi ben Shoshana, and to the Refuah Shelema of Yeshayahu Yosef ben Zari, Yafet ben Hana, and Sarah bat Alia. If you guys want to include anybody else to personalize this lesson, that this should be to a success, or to Ilui Nishmat, you're more than welcome to get started. More welcome to get plugged in. Let's get started. This week's parasha, it's the second parasha in this book of Shemot. So it's the second book, second parasha. So we know that this entire book deals with the Jewish people coming in, 70 souls, 70 people into as guests into a country of Mitzrayim, and the entire book deals with them being enslaved, evil king, getting saved by Moshe Rabbeinu, and the life in the desert. Where we are in the story right now is where Moshe Rabbeinu just as of last week got dispatched by Kadosh Baruch Hu, got convinced after a 7-day negotiation, after being away for over 60 years, to go back to Egypt and go redeem the Jewish people. So before we start off with this week's parasha, which is Parashat Va'era, I want to go back to the last 3 Pesukim of Parashat Shemot. And it says over there, in Pasuk Chavbet, the scene is Moshe finally goes to Paro and he tells him, let my people go. Paro says, let him go. Who are you and who is your God? And since you know it, and says, I don't know your God, I don't know his name, I don't know who you're talking about. Let them go back to their to being a slave. Don't bother them. And as a result of that, he made their life hard. Before they were able to just build, they would actually get the bricks ready to be put up. Now their job was to go to the fields, collect the straw, collect the mud, make it, bake it, bring it, and a quota. In other words, since Moshe Rabbeinu came to meet with Paro, the situation for the Jewish people got worse. So right after that, right after Moshe comes back from Paro, we come to these Pesukim in last week's parasha, and it says, Vayashov Moshe el Hashem v'yomar. Moshe comes back to God and says, Adonai, lama hareota la'am hazeh, lama ze shelachtani. He tells them, why have you done evil to this people? Why did you send me? ומאז באתי אל פרעה לדבר בשמך, הרע למה זה? Ever since I came back to Paro, all he did is he started to, let's see how do you say it over here? From the time I came to Paro to speak your name, he did evil to your people. והצל לא הצלת את עמך. And you didn't save your people. You didn't salvage them. You didn't redeem them. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe. God tells Moshe, Ata tireh asher eseh. Now you're going to see my handiwork. Now you're going to see what I'm going to do. LeParo. Ki beyad chazaka yishalechem, ubeyad chazaka yigarshem me'aretzo. You're going to see with a strong hand, he's going to drive them out, and with a strong hand, he's going to send them out of his land. And that's how the parasha finishes off last week. The first pasuk in this week's parasha is very interesting. As a matter of fact, today's lesson is going to be only on the first aliyah, only on the first few pasukim of the parasha. Even though that this parasha deals with 7 plagues and a lot of conversations between God and Moshe and Paro, there's so much. In previous years, we've touched so many different things. As a matter of fact, I'd like to say, I had a very difficult time coming up with this class today. Because we did so many different classes, and there's so much you can talk about the plagues, so much you can talk about the conversation. It's almost like you've exhausted the same lesson. I was really, really looking for something unique to learn this year. As you know, I'm not a teacher. I share my learning. So I was really curious this year, like, what am I going to learn from Va'era? I wanted something new. And this yeshiva week and this pushing off from Tuesday to Thursday really helped me. It gave me a few more days to come up with something. And something very, very unique is to be found and to be discovered and to be learned from the first few pasukim of this parasha. This lesson is not a simple lesson. This lesson is a little bit, I would say, on a high level. I would say that this lesson is to anybody who prays, anybody who knows that God exists and wants to have a relationship with Him, then this type of lesson will have to get a little bit closer. L'chaim. Amen. So get ready for a very interesting lesson from Parashat Va'era. So here we are, the first pasuk in the parasha. Vaydaber Elohim el Moshe vayomer elav ani Adonai. It's a bit redundant. It says, and Hashem spoke to Moshe, and he told him, I am Hashem. But what you have to understand, that in English, it sounds redundant. It says, and Hashem spoke to Moshe, and he told him, I am Hashem. In English, it sounds like that. But if you look at the text, if you look at the Hebrew writing, you'll see that there is a distinction. Because Hashem's name over here is written in 2 different ways. One time it's written as Elohim, and the second time it's written in Yud-Kei-Vav-Kei. So today we're going to discuss a lot about God's names. God has many, many names. And tonight we're going to get a deeper look of why He has so many names, what's the meaning of some of the names, and what are the meanings of the names that are used in this week's parasha. So for example, right off the bat, the pasuk that says Elokim and Yud-Kei-Vav-Kei, what is the difference between those 2 names? As a matter of fact, 2 things are different. Yud-Kei-Vav-Kei, we don't sound it out. We don't read it as if it's Yud and Hey and Vav and Hey. We say, and I'm only going to say it once for the sake of the lesson, because I don't want to say God's name in vain. The next time I'm going to say it, I'm going to say it differently. But Yud-Kei-Vav-Kei is sounded out, not the way that it's written, rather Adonai. Right? When we say Yud-Kei-Vav-Kei, we say a different word. That's one thing. The second thing is, Vaydaber Elohim el Moshe vayomer elav ani Adonai. So now we have the 2 names. What's the difference? Pshat, the name Elohim is known to be the name of God for strict judgment, for din. Anytime you see the word Elohim, know that the subject matter has to do with strict judgment. Whenever you see the name Yud-Kei-Vav-Kei, know that the subject matter is chesed, loving kindness. There's something over here that is good, not strict, the opposite of Elohim. So when Moshe Rabbeinu asked God, why did you do this? Why did you send me? Ever since you sent me, their situation worsened. What does Hashem tell him? I am Elohim, the one from strict judgment, but I'm also Hashem, which is the one of loving kindness. What you think is bad now, you will soon see that it's good. That's the first layer of understanding on this pasuk. We continue. We see that Hashem is going to introduce himself to Moshe Rabbeinu in a very interesting way. However, it's also an introduction to us. I'm going to read the next few Pesukim so we can get a feeling of what's going on, and then we will go back into the Pasuk and dissect it a little bit to see the nuances that we're looking for. So here we go. וידבר אלוהים אל משה ואומר אליו אני אדוני וארא אל אברהם אל יצחק ואל יעקב באל שדי ושמי אדוני לא נודעתי להם. In this pasuk we have three of God's names. Hashem says, I appeared to the patriarchs. I appeared to Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov with two names. Anytime God spoke to Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, every time God has some sort of interaction with Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, anytime they had a promise, or anytime that they had some sort of a covenant, that covenant used either the name of God, which is El, which is short for Elohim, or Shaddai. Those are the names that were used. The second part of this pasuk says, Ushmi Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, the one that we we're just talking about, Lo Nodati Lahem. I have never introduced Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov to Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. Okay? We'll continue to read the Pesukim. וגם הקימותי את בריתי איתם לתת להם את הארץ כנען, and he says, and I am going to keep my promise, that my covenant that I was going to give them the land that they're going to live on, and the land that they lived on. וגם אני שמעתי את נקת בני ישראל, and also heard the cry of עם ישראל, אשר מצרים מעבידים אותם, that the Egyptians are enslaving them. ואזכור את בריתי, and I'm going to remember my covenant. לכן, therefore, אמור לבני ישראל, go tell the Jewish people, אני י'-K ו'-K. I am God, י'-K ו'-K. והוצאתי אתכם מתחת סבלות מצרים. And I'm the one who's going to take you out of the suffering of מצרים. והצלתי אתכם מעבודתם, and I'm going to save you from their hard work. וגאלתי אתכם בזרוע נטויה. And I'm going to redeem you. בזרוע נטויה ושבטים גדים. Again, and this is the last pasuk that we're going to learn, and then we're going to go into the lesson. ולקחתי אתכם לי לעם, and I'm going to take you from me as a nation. והייתי לכם לאלוקים, and I'm going to be for you an Elohim. Here's that name again. Here's that God's name that we said Elohim is the one that has to do with Deen. He says, I'm going to be for you an Elohim. וידעתם כי אני Adonai Elohechem המוציא אתכם מתחת סבלות מצרים. And he says, and then you will know me. And over here, the Adonut is again Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. He says, I'm going to take you out as Elohim, but you're going to get to know me as Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, and the one that takes you out of the suffering of Mitzrayim. So, in order to really, really understand the lesson that we're about to learn, we have to get to know three of God's names. One is Elohim, two is Shaddai, the other one is Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. These are three names that we're going to need to learn right now in order to understand the rest of the lesson and what's being uncovered over here. The name Elohim, it's the name that has to do with koach, with power. In other words, I'll give you some examples. We have angels. Angels are beings that have a power. So we have Micha-el, Gavri-el, Repha-el. What's that El, right? It comes from that group of Elohim. In other words, Elohim sometimes will mean God, but will also mean agents of God that have powers, they have kohot. By the way, just like there's anything in Kedusha, there's also the same thing in Tum'ah. Anything that we have on the side of holiness is also available on the side of Tum'ah, of unholiness, of impurity. So when there's Avodah Zarah, or idolatry, there are some idolatry that have powers from the side of the Tum'ah. Where do they get that power from? Same place. Enod milvado. Understand, the whole world is God. The power that they get from God as well. So we have Koach. Koach, anytime you see the word Elohim, it's a name that has to do with power. And power is very impressive. It's very desirable. Everybody wants something that they have some sort of, imagine you have a power to heal. You have a power to destroy. You have a power to earn money. You have the power to, whatever, to convince. All these different things are powers. It's very impressive. So when we say that there is a koach, besides it meaning that it comes from the family of Elohim, you also have to understand that this is another concept in the world called shituf. You know what's shituf? Shituf is when somebody believes in something, but they need something intermediary to help them along. In other words, people believe in God, but in order to believe in God, they need like a statue that looks like an elephant in order to connect to Him. Or they need a statue of a man to say, oh, he's the son of God. It's a shituf. By us, it's not allowed. There's no such thing as shituf. We don't have anybody between us and Hashem. It's us direct to Hashem. But this kohot, these avodah zarah, or let's just say any other power that's in the world, it's in between buffer between God Himself. That's Elohim. That's El. Now, the ultimate koach, where all the kohot comes from, is God. That's what when you sometimes hear a pasuk that says, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim v'et haaretz, right? The first pasuk in Genesis, the first in Bereshit bara Elohim. Why Elohim? Why not any of those other names of God? Because Elohim is the name of kohot, things that are moving, things that are able to manifest. Or if you see the Pesukim, Hashem hu Elokei ha'Elokim va'adonei ha'adonim. What do you mean Elokei ha'Elokim, the God of the gods? There's other gods? No. It's not Elokim meaning gods. Meaning, when I say Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, those are Elokim, those are Malachim that have the word El in them. Just put them together. Or with the Sita'acha, all these other ones, the Avodah Zarah, that have some sort of powers. Hashem is the Elokei Elokim. He's the power, He's the ultimate koach above all these other koachot that you see. That's the first name. The second one, oh, by the way, I like Gematriot. Gematriot is the numerical value of Hebrew letters, and according to the numerical value, you can connect it to another word, and that forms a connection. And oftentimes, that connection gives you a clue about each other. So for example, Elokim, if you take the Aleph, the Lam, and the Vav, the Kuf, the Yud, and the Mem, add them up all together, and what do you get? 81.
How much? 81?
81.
Isn't it 86?
81. 81. If you take the word Teva, nature, what's the gematria? 81. Which means what? If you want to see the power of Elohim, where is it buried? In the Teva. In the forces of nature. Visible and invisible. That's where you can find it. Hashem or Elohim is hidden within nature. As a matter of fact, every single moment, every single thing that's happening around the world happens to be a miracle. But we're so used to seeing it derech hateva that we're thinking, it's nature. Nature, and you know, like for me, like it's something that like, you know, when people tell me it's nature, it blows my mind. Like I could actually take an apple, I take a seed out of an apple, I shove it into the ground, and I can see it turn into a little plant, from a plant to a tree, from a tree to more apples. I take a bite, there's another seed. Wow, it's like a tree-making factory, these little seeds. Oh, nature, of course. Are you kidding me? You know the process of making bread? Have you ever seen the process of making bread? Wheat, grinding, adding water, this, you know, the yeast rising, then put it, who came up with it? Whoever thought of these 10 or 13 different processes just to get bread in our belly? But we think, teva, nature, you know, that's how things are. It's really magical. But to make a long story short, Elohim is found in nature, in Teva. Now, the second name that we need to learn from Hashem, Shaddai. And for the rest of the class, we'll sell it Shakai, because not to say God's name in vain. It's most famously found where? On the mezuzot. Because the Shin, Dalet, and Yud stands for Shomer Dlatot Yisrael. He protects the doors of Am Yisrael.
It's also the same value as pi, 314.
That's exactly what he's going to say next. It's part of the class. So, what is this name? This is one of God's names that has the power to spread endlessly. And when Hashem was creating the worlds and was creating the different sections of the world and different sections of the angels and all these different things, he used the word Shaddai. And with this name, the world kept growing and growing and growing, and space kept growing and growing and growing until Hashem had to tell it to stop. So why is it called Shaddai? She'amar Dai. That he told it, stop. Hashem had to stop this name from going on over and over, forever and ever, endless. They say that the name of Shakai is because Mishadded et HaMa'arachot. He was able to set all these different holes in the heavens. It's like a very powerful name, and it has the power to grow exponentially. Picking up on Judah's point, very interesting. Another gematria. If you take Shin, Dalet, and Yud, Shin is 300, Yud is 10, Dalet is 4, all together is 314. Why is 314 important? Because if you guys ever did math, and you know the sign pi, you ever see it? It's like two legs and a squiggly table on top of it. Okay. It's 3.14,
That's correct.
which is like 314 that you just said, but it doesn't stop. Pi is actually the circumference of a circle divided by its diameter, and if you look, it's 3.145999265. It doesn't end. It doesn't end. It goes on forever and ever and ever and ever. It's the type of thing that you put into your calculator, and at the end it says E.
Yet that's the mathematical number that's located in a circle, which is the visual shape of your face. So it's possible that there's an infinite number, even though it appears as if you're contracted and you're finite. You're not.
Very interesting. That's very interesting. But having said that, you can see that the name that the Gematria is 314 is very similar to pi, that also is 3.14, and has the same quality. And as a matter of fact, who knows what is the connection? Actually, I heard one time a class from Rabbi Mansour that connected pi to the name and how they're interlaced together. The Torah is so beautiful, it's incredible. It's like the more you dig, the more you find things that are incredible. So with this name, if we go back now, that we just learned these two names, we just learned Elohim, remember, Kochot, Shakai, the name that has all these powers that Hashem had to tell to stop. Let's go back to the second pasuk of the parasha. Va'era el Avraham, el Yitzchak ve'el Yaakov, be'el Shaddai. Hashem revealed himself to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov with only those two names. Ushmi Yud-Kei Vav-Kei lo nodati lahem. He says, but my name of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei I did not reveal to them. Let's learn Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. This is the lesson right here. This is the name that we came to learn today. Because it's very, very interesting what's happening over here. Because God is introducing His name to Moshe, to the world, and to us in this week's parasha. Now, even though if you go to Bereshit, you find Yud-Kei Vav-Kei in there, but it's written in the Torah, but He wasn't revealed into the world until this very moment. If you look in Rashi, Rashi says, when he says that he wants to reveal the name of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, what does he say? That he's going to reveal Midat HaEmet, the measure of truth. That's interesting. I never ever thought of that name to represent the measure of truth. I never knew that there was a connection to it. Why would that be? He says because the measure of truth is knowing what is truth. What is the measure of truth? The truth is that God was, God is, and God will be. That's emet. As a matter of fact, if you take the word emet, which means truth in Hebrew, if you take the Hebrew alphabet, which consists of 22 letters, and 5 additional letters called mansapach, they come out to 27. So if you take those 27 letters and you lay them out, if you go from Aleph to the 13th letter, it's going to be, if you go right down to the middle, which is right after the 13th, the 27th one, the 14th one, it's going to be Mem. And if you take 13 from there, it's Tav. So 13 from here, Mem. 13 from here, Tav. So you have Aleph, Mem, Tav. In the beginning, in the middle, in the end, Emet. The measure of truth. Midat HaEmet. Also, what does Yud-Kei Vav-Kei mean? That there's no limit. This is the name that has no limit. It's the name that draws from Ad and Sof. Meaning, remember Shakai, we said you had to stop it? Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, there's no stopping. It's endless. The powers, the capacity, the capability are endless with the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei name. Says, I promised to the patriarchs, I promised to Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, using Ellen Shakai. Midrash Rabbah says something very interesting. I'm going to read it out to you. Midrash Rabbah says on this particular pasuk, says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was talking to Moshe and he tells him, Harbe pa'amim nigleti le'Avraham. Many times I appeared to Avraham, and to Yitzchak, and to Yaakov, Be'el Shaddai, in those two names, Velo dati lehem kishmi Hashem. I never let them know that my name is Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, Kishem shomodati lecha. The way that I revealed it to you. Imagine, Moshe Rabbeinu right now was able to receive a brand new side of God that even Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov did not merit to. Velo hireru achar midotai, and they never said a word. They never complained. They never even said anything. Whatever I said, they did. Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, every time he spoke to them, hineni, yes, whatever you want. Now remember, last week's parasha, 7-day negotiations. Should I go? Shouldn't I go? I don't want to go. Send my brother. Oh, I'm a heavy-lipped, heavy tongue. At the end, Hashem got angry with him. What are you doing? I'm sending you. I'm God. I'm sending you to go save the Jewish people. So he's telling them, I never revealed to them Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. Just with Ellen Shakai, I revealed my name to them. Velo hireru. They never said a word. They never had a passing thought to go against me, to deny me, to question me. He says, "Amarti le'Avraham, I told Avraham, Kumi talech ba'aretz le'oka ve'lochba. Go walk the land from north to east, from west to south." When the time came to bury his wife Sarah, he couldn't find a place to bury. So it's like, imagine, God is telling Avraham Avinu, "This whole land is yours." Great, thank you, Hashem. This whole land is mine. Sarah dies. Can I bury her in my land? No. You gotta go to Ephron. You gotta pay for Me'arat HaMachpelah. Did he say anything? Did he come and say, "Excuse me, God, last time you promised me that this is my land. Now I gotta pay $400 million for a cave to bury Sarah"? He didn't say a word. Avraham did not say a word. V'lo hirher acharei midotai. Amarti leYitzchak, he goes on to Yitzchak, "Gur ba'aretz hazot, ki lecha ve'ezacha." He says, "I want you to live in this land. I'm going to give it to you and to your children." So Yitzchak gets to the point that he wants to drink. Bikesh lishtot mayim ve'lo matza. He didn't find it. Ela v'yarivu ro'ei garim ro'ei Yitzchak. He says in his own land people would fight with him over the water well. Imagine, he was wanting to drink in his own land that God promised him. He's got people bothering him, and he can't drink. Did he say something? "Hey Hashem, look, these thugs over here are bothering me in my own land. Get rid of them." No, didn't say a word. He goes to Yaakov. "Ha'aretz asher ata shochem alea v'chulei v'chulei." He says, the land that you sleep on. Right, Yaakov in Jacob's ladder, when he had the dream, he says, "This whole land is yours." And then made another promise to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu made another promise to Yaakov. When the time came that he wanted to put up his tent, he didn't find a place until he had to pay me'ak sita. He had to pay in order just to put up a tent in the city. V'lo hirach milotai. They didn't say a word. And furthermore, Velo sha'alani mashmi. They didn't even ask me, "What's your name? Do you have another name? Do you have another YHVH, another name that I can use for powers?" The way that he went to Paro and he told them, "God sent me." He says, "Who's your God?" "I don't know this God." So Moshe Rabbeinu was telling him, "Do you have another name that maybe he knows? So when I go, he'll be scared of you." So he's telling her, "Velo sha'aluni mashmi kishem shata shoel." And he says, "Vata." He says, and then me on the first mission that I give you, you tell me, "God, what's your name?" Because nobody knows you over here. Since you sent me to Paro, all these bad things started happening to the nation. So in other words, you see over here that God went back and forth trying to show Moshe the situation that they're in. And by the way, Rashi later on explains that he didn't have a bad bone in his body. He didn't have not one bad intention. He was really just a devoted leader trying to find out what is the right way to get to Paro to release Am Yisrael. This was no way Moshe being rude. The Chazal talk about it and the Rashi talks about it. Now, the names El and Shakai were names that Hashem made a promise with those names. Now, these are promises that have not been kept yet. Hashem did not deliver on his promises yet. These are names of potential. Hashem says, "I can potentially give you the land. I can potentially give it to you all." But the truth is, nothing came to fruition. So Rashi says on Pasuk Bet, he says, "Ani Hashem." How does he explain that when Hashem says, "Ani Hashem," and he reveals himself in YHVH, Ne'eman leshalem sachar. He says, now you're going to see that I keep my word. In other words, showtime. Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov got the promises. You, Moshe, are going to see me come through on the promises. Am Yisrael is going to see the promises that I made with El and Shakai are going to come through fruition, because now I'm bringing the YHVH into the story. I'm bringing the YHVH into the mix. And now, when Kadosh Baruch Hu wants to reveal something, reveal his powers, reveal that he's coming through on his promises, you see that YHVH is no longer hidden. All the actions are going to be revealed. Remember, Ed and Shakai, everything there is hidden, right? Everything is behind the scenes, nature, Teva, Kochot. He says, with YHVH, you're going to see out in the open. You're going to see 10 plagues. You're going to see the splitting of the sea. Is that something that we see every single day? No. He says, well, now I'm going to show you. Now it's going to be revealed, my powers. We have a nice second layer right now on 3 names of God. Elohim, Shaddai, and YHVH. Having said that, we can go now one level higher. There are more names to God. We're not going to learn them out today. I promise you there's only going to be 3 today. But there's more. There's in last week's PARASHAT, when Moshe says, what should I tell them? Tells them, Asher sent you. And over there they tell us what's Asher. He says, I will be with you in this galut, and I will be with you in future galuyot. So Moshe Rabbeinu tells him, Abba, Hashem, you're about to take them out of slavery. You want me to tell them that there's going to be 4 more? I can't, we'll break the news to them later. But there's more names. So last week was Asher, this Tzevakot. There's the 72 names of God. So many names. Why so many? Why so many? So you should know that all these names, all of God's names, all have different powers. Every name of God has a different power, a different koach. I'll give you an example to make you understand a little bit better. This is, I heard this from a Rabbi, Yinon Kalzan, who gave a beautiful class about this particular chidush, and I really enjoyed it. He says, imagine there's a person, and we can refer to that person many different ways. That person can be a rabbi. Same person can be a doctor. He could also be a father. He could be a son. He could be a grandson. He could be a nephew. He could be a cousin. He could be an uncle. All these different titles, all these different connections to one person, they're just titles. Even though he has different meanings to each one. But it's still not fully who he is. I still didn't describe fully who that person is. You understand? He's a father, he's a son, he's a nephew, he's an uncle, he's a doctor, he's a rabbi. But I still didn't even reveal to you his qualities, his characteristics. In other words, there's many ways, many suits that you can put on somebody and still not get to the essence of it. God's name, even though that we know that there's a name for parnasah, and a name for to defeat depression, and a name for to be successful in learning, and a name for clarity, and a name for healing, and a name for all these different things that we might want, and we can activate that type of connection to God through that name. It's still not the all-encompassing God that we're talking about. It's almost, the Rabbi says, we can't even begin to fathom what YHVH is. But all these names are just like suits that angels wear to give us another connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, the one thing you have to walk away is to understand that there is no other power except Hashem. That's YHVH. Meaning all these other names, all these other Elohim, all these Malachim, all these other ones, they are a power that comes from Hashem, but Hashem is the ultimate power. There's nothing above Hashem. Now in Mitzrayim, Hashem wants to reveal this. In Egypt, Hashem wants to reveal, the big reveal of YHVH. He wants to show his endless power in a revealed way. And this time, who's the audience? He wants to show his power, 1, to Israel, 2, to Mitzrayim, 3, to all the inhabitants of the world. Every single person on the planet knew about Yetziat Mitzrayim and knew about the splitting of the sea. Something that is very, very interesting in the Perek Gimel from last week's parasha, on the 15th pasuk, it says, Vayomer od Elokim el Moshe. Hashem is talking to God. Hashem is talking to Moshe. Here he's using the name Elokim, and he tells him, Kol tomar el bnei Israel. This is what I want you to tell the Jewish people. Yud Kei Vav Kei Elokei Avotechem Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Yaakov Shelachani Elechem. He says, introduce me to the Jewish people as Yud Kei Vav Kei. Who is Yud Kei Vav Kei? He is the God of Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov, and he's the one that sent me. And he says, Zeh Shmi la'olam v'zeh zechi l'dor dor. He says, and let them know that this is my name. Let's see how they say it. You have it here in English. And it says, I have surely remembered you and what is done to you in Edom. Where is it? 15. Yes, I've surely remembered you and what is done to you in Egypt. It says, Zeh Shmi la'olam v'zeh zechi l'dor dor. In other words, this is my name forever and ever, and this is what I'll be remembered for generation to generation. This is a very famous pasuk, because when it says Zeh Shmi la'olam, typically the way you say olam, the way you spell olam, is Ayin Vav Lamed Mem. Here there's no Vav. It's missing a Vav. It's Lamed Ayin Lamed Mem. He says Zeh Shmi. Don't read it le'olam. Read it Zeh Shmi le'alem. This is my name that needs to be hidden. What does that mean? So think about it. We learned about it in the beginning of the class. Yud Kei Vav Kei. How do we say it? We don't say Yud Kei Vav Kei. We say Adonut, right? He says why? Hide that name. Don't say it. Zeh Shmi le'alem. Hide it. Why? Because I don't want it to be revealed. And he says, Zeh Shmi le'alem. I don't know if you guys use a Sephardic Siddur. I brought mine so you can see, and we'll learn one halacha over here. You know, it's very, very important, the first three berachot of the Amidah. Even more so than all the three berachot is the first paragraph. Over there, you're supposed to have very, very strong intent. The rabbis tell us, if you just zoom through it and you didn't have the proper intention, you got to go back and do it again. What are the intentions? What are the kavanot? So, I'm going to teach you what is Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu. That's it. Because the rest is whatever everything else is after the beracha. If you look at some Sephardic Siddurs, in between the words, you see some tiny words that we just skip over. What are they? What are these little words that we're skipping over? It's exactly what we're learning today. We'll start off with Baruch. What is Baruch? The Ben Ish Chai says, Baruch is Bar Chavav, the son of 26. What's the son of 26? We know that Yud Kei Vav Kei, Yud, Hey, and Vav and Hey, 10 and 5, plus 10 and 6, all together, 10 and 6 and 5, equals 26. So Bar Chavav, the son of God. Who is the son of God? Beni Bechori, Am Yisrael, we are. In other words, how can we come and bless God? Does God need a blessing? Does he need our blessing? Who are we to bless? But because you are royalty, you are Bar Chavav, you are the son of God, you can actually say Baruch. And Baruch is not like you're blessing. It's like you're making a statement. Like, blessed is he. You're not giving him a bracha, like you're putting your hand on the kippah, Baruch Atah. You're not blessing him. You're more like complimenting him, exalting him, almost like elevating him. Baruch, blessed be he, or blessed be Hashem. Baruch. What is the word atah? I always thought that'd be very, very rude if you just point to Hashem and say atah. Imagine I don't even tell it to my kids. I don't even tell it to my parents. Imagine telling them, oh man, who created a mess in the house? Atah. Oh, it's so rude. You don't say, you don't use that word. Most of the time you say a person's name, or you use some sort of like something before, like Mr., Mrs., brother, sister. You don't say atah. So how do we say atah to Hashem? It's a little rude. But there's a secret over here. We did a lot of classes about the Hebrew letters, so if you know a little bit about the Hebrew letters, you understand that atah pertains to the one who created the world from Aleph to Taf with the 5 Mansapach letters. That's what atah is. The world got created with 22 letters, Aleph and Taf. There's 5 more letters that have otiyot sofiyot, and they're called Mansapach. Mem, Nun, Tzadik, Pei, and Chaf. You can write them regular, or at the end of the word, they become like some fancy looking. So atah, the one that created the world, with the Aleph to the Taf and the 5 letters of Mansapach. That's Baruch atah. Now the next one is Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, but we don't do it. What? Zeh Shmi Ne'elam. We say Adonut. We don't say Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, right? And right next to it, what does it say? Haya Hoveh Yeh. When you say God's name for of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, your kavanah needs to be Haya Hoveh Yeh. Just like Rashi told us. Midat Emet. What was the Midat Emet? That He is before, during, and will always be. That's the kavanah when you do Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. And then it says Elokeinu. Oh, there's the name of Elokim. What's Elokim? It tells you right here. Baal HaKochot Kulam. We just said, what's Elokim? Kochot, Malachim. So here we are. What's the proper way to say bracha? Baruch, Atah, you Hashem, blessed you be Hashem, the one that created the world from Aleph, Ataf, with the 5 letters of Mansapach. Adoshem, Haya, Hoveh, Yeh, Elokeinu, Baal HaKochot Kulam. Continue. Take 10 seconds to have the kavanah, because it's very, very important to use the names of God properly. This is just a practical way to learn, to use the names of what we learn. All this was an introduction for this chidush. Now you know have a little bit of a background about God's names, and here we are. All this was leading to this chidush. These 3 names are connected to Paro. They connect to Yetziat Mitzrayim and to Mitzrayim. In other words, for whatever reason, the recipe needed to get the Jewish people out of Mitzrayim, we needed Elokim, we needed the name Shakai, and we needed the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. We needed that recipe in order to get out of Mitzrayim. Let's start with Mitzrayim. What's Mitzrayim? Mitzrayim is Metzer Yam. Metzer is when you do make something tight, tzar. Mitzrayim is something that is closed in, limited, restricted, when you're bound. Mitzrayim represents that, not just in the city, but as far as spiritually what they were doing to the Jewish people. Paro, why is he called Paro? It's kind of a weird name. And you know that a person's name is his essence. What does Paro stand for? Paro is actually the same letters spell out Ha'oref. What's Ha'oref? Paro is Ha'oref, the back of the neck. When Moshe Rabbeinu came to Paro, what did he show him? He turned his back to him. He showed him Ha'oref. I'm stiff-necked. I'm stubborn. I'm never going to let you go. And we see one makkah after another makkah after another makkah after another. He was very, very stubborn. So we have Mitzrayim, the city of restrictions, of being closed down. And we have Paro, who's stiff-necked as an evil ruler, going against who? Moshe. The names El Shakai and Yud Kei Vav Kei. Hidden miracles, revealed miracles. And you should know that the Yud Kei Vav Kei, we know that there's a name, God's name for the month. The God's name for the month of Nisan is what? Yud Kei Vav Kei. In other words, we know that there's, that the letters get boggled in many different ways. In Nisan, it's Yud Kei Vav Kei. Why? Because Ismechu HaShamayim V'Tagel Ha'aretz. The heavens and the earth are lined up. Hidden miracles and revealed miracles all in one. So here we are, the big reveal. Hashem wants to reveal His Midat Emet. He wants to come through on His promises to the patriarchs, to the Avot. He wants to come through on His promises to Am Yisrael. He wants to bring the Din Emet into the world and show them that it's all true. Now if we go to the beginning of the Parashat again and read just one pasuk, it says, now we can understand this better. What does Hashem want to do now that He's revealing His name, Yud Kei Vav Kei? Velakachti etchem li le'am. I'm going to take you from me to be a nation. Ve'ahiti lachem le'elokim. And I'm going to be for you Elokim. That's the name of strict judgment. V'idatem. And I want you to know, Ki ani Hashem, I am the God, Yud Kei Vav Kei, Elohechem, the one that works with Din and with Chesed, Hamotzi Otchem, the one who's able to take you out, Mitachat Sivlot Mitzrayim, from the suffering of Mitzrayim. I am the one that has the capabilities, the powers to take you out. If that's the case, we have here Paro, which we just said. Paro is Ha'oref. He is the original. He is the prime example of a stubborn person. A person who doesn't want to listen. A person who doesn't learn from his mistakes. A person who doesn't want to change. Ha'oref. Paro is like the most stubborn individual on the planet. Yet we know that we heard this exact same connotation somewhere else. Where? The Jewish people. Am Kshe Oref. We got the title of a stiff-necked people, stiff-necked nation, stubborn. We don't learn from our mistakes. Paro and the Jewish people both have the same title. Am Kshe Oref. Now that we established that, we have to learn one more thing. Mitzrayim in this parasha is the country that we're living. However, the rabbis want to tell us that any time you see the word Mitzrayim, on a personal level, it pertains to your personal Mitzrayim. What is your personal Mitzrayim? What is your personal struggle? Is it finances? Is it health? Is it zivugim? Is it children, child raising? What is your Mitzrayim? In other words, even if you have a Mitzrayim in your life, everybody wants to get out of Mitzrayim. Everybody wants to get out of their problems. How do you do it? This week's parasha tells us that. It says, if you guys are familiar with the Haggadah, it says in Yetziat Mitzrayim, Hashem says that Ani velo malach, Ani velo saraf. He says, I am the one that took you out of Egypt. I didn't send a malach. I didn't send some angel with a koach. Ani velo saraf. I didn't send a second agent. Me, personally, b'chvodi u'ba'atzmi, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, I am the one that took you out of Mitzrayim. What's the message over here? It says, you want to get out of Mitzrayim? There's only one way to get out of Mitzrayim. There's only one that can take you out of your personal Mitzrayim. Ani velo malach, ani velo saraf. Hashem is the only one that can get you out of your personal Mitzrayim. Financial struggles, only God can help. Shlom bayit problems, only God can help. Health problems, only God can help. Because He says, "V'hotzeti otchem mitachat sivlot," the suffering of Mitzrayim. A lot of people are suffering with their struggles. A lot of people are suffering with their difficulties. Who's going to be able to take you out? Hashem. Which Hashem? The name of YHVH, the Chesed, the loving kindness of Hashem is the one that's going to be able to take you out. He says, that this is the way that a person can actually believe that Hashem created this whole show in Mitzrayim to show things completely out of the ordinary, extraordinary, beyond nature, supernatural. Why? To show us that it's possible. The things that we think are impossible are possible, and even in our personal lives. Because when people are in a struggle, they never think that they can get out of debt. They never think that they can kick the disease. They never think that they can find their soulmate. Hashem says, I can get you out of it. How do you get out of it? You have to connect to Hashem. Why is this all now connected to this week's parasha? So, with this I'll conclude. We know that the Ben Ish Chai has a lot of beautiful chidushim. This is one of my favorite ones already for years. I'm repeating it. It says, on Shabbat, we sing, Az Yeshir Moshe, Uvnei Yisrael, et Ashir Azot L'Adonai. Right? Az Yeshir Moshe. There's a line over there that says what? Adonai Ish Milchama, Adonai Shemo Makevot, Paro Vechelo, Yara Bayam. Right? What does it say over there? Adonai Ish Milchama. Why do they call God Ish Milchama? Keep in mind, this is the song that's being said in the splitting of the sea. The Ben Ish Chai says something beautiful. He says, why is Hashem Ish Milchama? Because when the time came for Yetziat Mitzrayim, he had to use the Ish. What? The name of El, the name of YHVH, and the name of Shakai. He needed to activate those three names in order to create Yetziat Mitzrayim. Hashem Ish Milchama. That's how he was able to do. Now remember, we have a whole recipe of God's names that we could use. Put them on the side. For Yetziat Mitzrayim, Hashem needed three. Elokim, YHVH, and Shakai. This is another prime example how nothing is impossible for Hashem. That sometimes things are hidden, like we see the two names of El and Shakai, and some things are completely revealed, like in the name of YHVH. Today we're able to see these three names in a completely different way. I myself never knew these three names so personally. I knew Elokim, but I didn't know it had to do with Kohot. I knew Shakai, but I didn't know the pi, never ending, stop. YHVH, they're revealed, they're all powerful. And the fact that the reason why Hashem is telling us, you have to understand, this is one of the most heavily laden parashiot with God's names. Almost every Hashem is like dropping a different name of God every pasuk. You go to other things, Vaydaber Hashem and Moshe, Moshe Daber Hashem, they're all the one thing, either Elokim or YHVH. All of a sudden, all these God's names. Why? Because there was a purpose for each name and for the reason that it was used. Bezat Hashem, maybe in Yetziat Mitzrayim is where we find the 72 names of God. There's 3 Pesukim over there. Right before Yetziat Mitzrayim, right before the splitting of the sea, Moshe Rabbeinu cries out to Hashem, what should I do? Hashem tells him, it's not a time to pray, go! And the 3 Pesukim that are there, and Bezat Hashem, maybe we will learn them out. If you take those 3 Pesukim and you put them one on top of the other, each Pasuk has 72 letters, 72 letters, 72 letters. And if you take the first letter from the first Pasuk, the last letter from the second Pasuk, and the first letter from the third Pasuk, that's one name. And keep going, and keep going, and keep going, and keep going. That's the formula. And from each one, we were able to derive 72 names of God, each one containing 3 letters.
Bereshit?
No, Shemot. Next week's Parashat. And from those names were 72 keys to life. You want health? It's the name Mem and Hey and Shin. You want Parnasah? Samech and Aleph and Lamed. You want all the names. You want clarity, you want vision, you want all of them. I'm not a Kabbalist in any way, but this particular part of 72 names of God has become very, very popular in the Kabbalist circles, even the modern Kabbalist circles. So it's around, and people talk about it, and it's Torah. It's Torah. As long as you learn it a kosher way, it's proper. But you see that over there, Hashem gave us another 72 names, 72 keys to life. And if you go a little bit deeper, there it is. You want to be successful in life? Hashem says, I already gave it to you. Before you became a freed person, Hashem, they always say, Hashem noten et hatrufa lifnei hamaka. That's why Masechet Gittin is before Masechet Ketuvot. Because first you got to know how to get a divorce before you get married. That's why the Gittin is first. But Hashem gave us, before we come here, here's the 72 keys to life. Go! So Bezat Hashem, that we get to know God's names and know what they mean to us and connect to them and be able to draw from each name what we need, the power that it offers and how it can help us out in our life. And Bezat Hashem also that our prayer can become a little bit better, especially the first paragraph of the Amidah. Remember, Baruch Ata Hashem, YHVH. Eloheinu, Baal Kol HaKochot Kulam, and continue reading. Hashem Varech Otchem, Sameach Otchem, and Yev Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.